Hello guys and welcome back to the Drowsy Dragon. What if I told you that when Legion Remix comes around, some of the rarest and most fantastic mounts might just be a few hours of farming away? With the Legion Remix event coming some point this year, players are wondering which mounts are coming back and which ones are off the table, and what could we see Recolors of? We've got no official confirmation as of yet, but by looking at how Mr. Pandaria Remix was structured, we can make some pretty solid predictions. Let's break it down. So if we use the MOP Remix as a template, we had 30 new mounts put into the MOP Remix that were exclusive to that event. The majority were of course Recolors. You could also get many rare mounts that were originally included in the MOP expansion that were rare drops from world bosses like Galleon and the Shah of Anger, as well as other mounts from raids such as the Kor'kron Juggernaut from Mythic Garrosh. This brought the total of mounts available from MOP Remix to 43. Interestingly, across the whole of the Misc Pandaria expansion, there are a total of 46 mounts available. Okay, so let's apply this to Legion and see what could happen with Legion Remix. Now, there are a total of 68 mounts that came from Legion expansion with varied sources. Let's take a look at what we'll likely be able to buy off the vendor, assuming that we're going to have the same kind of bronze system where we just gather bronze from all the different sources during the remix and use those to buy mounts. So let's begin with the dungeon and raid mounts. That was one of the big draws of the MOP Remix, is you were able to go and reliably farm some of the mounts from the Mr. Pandaria raids, especially the world bosses as well. Now with Legion dungeons and raids, there weren't actually as many mounts available compared to MOP raids, and of course there's no world bosses in Legion that drop mounts. So there are only a few prize mounts that we may see on the bronze vendor, mainly these four. You've got the Abyss Worm, you have Midnight's Eternal Reigns, Living Infernal Core and the Fiendish Infernal Core from Gul'dan in the Nighthold. Now that is of course quite a long raid to run through. It's very likely that these will be on the vendor with a hefty bronze cost. You've also got mounts such as the Smouldering Ember Worm, which come from the speedrun of Nightbane in the Return to Karazhan dungeon. So this will probably likely still be available as intended, so you could go back and just do this the traditional way, potentially. But what we may see of this is a recolor of these kind of mounts. So one thing that we did see in MOP Remix was that there are completion achievements for doing things in various zones. For example, completing some rare kills, gathering treasures, doing the quests, the main storylines, and you would sometimes get an achievement for doing that in each zone. One of which rewarded you with a mount, the Astral Emperor's Cloud Serpent. This is of course a recolor of Paragon, but you know, as much as people frown upon recolors, you can't argue that this is pretty cool. So some mounts are likely to come from activities out in the world. Now remember with Legion Remix, it has been announced that we've got this new shattered version of the outdoor world, which is a bit like a world tier that functions in Diablo. So you can choose to opt into this shattered version of the Legion zones, and everything is basically worse. The mobs are going to be more difficult to kill, there's just basically more chaos going on out there. So because of the increased difficulty, you're likely to find some rewards that are tied to that. So again, with this being a new sort of limited time event, this is a perfect opportunity to put some recolor versions of mounts in there. And then thinking about reputation mounts, so these will still be a thing because of course as we knew in MOP Remix you could still gain reputation with the Mr. Pandaria factions, so that's likely to be the same in Legion Remix. Now one thing that Legion did see is that once you got a faction to Exalted, you could continue to earn reputation with them and eventually get yourself a Paragon cache, and in that there was a chance for a mount to drop as well. So these were quite a hefty farm back in the day. I would doubt very much that there's a lot of people going back to Legion to farm these Paragon caches to this day. So this is a perfect chance again to put these things on a vendor, maybe recolored, maybe the originals, and it's a good way to fill out that collection. Because the remix is a limited time event, I very much doubt that they will expect us to farm Paragon caches. So putting these on a vendor seems like the right thing to do. Let's talk about some mounts that probably won't come back in the Legion Remix. So you've got some of the secret mounts, you know, the Lucid Nightmare. Anyone that's done that maze to get the Lucid Nightmare mount will not forget it. It's definitely one of the most notable secret mounts we've had in the game so far. Now, this is probably not going to come back because doing that in the remix would be a bit of a wild thing to do. It will be really cool to see some sort of reworked version of this secret and the other secret mount available as well from Cosmoth, but I do doubt that, again, because this is a limited time event, that time and effort will be spent into that, so I'd expect to not see the Lucid Nightmare on a vendor. That would be pretty wild, actually. What I would also expect to not see on the vendors are the PvP mounts. Now, there's quite a few that came from Legion, actually, but again, these being sort of prestigious to PvP, quite literally, I wouldn't expect any of the Legion PvP era mounts to be on the vendors. And then anybody that played Legion will be familiar with the fact that in 7.2 we actually got the class hall specific mounts. So the class order hall and campaigns were an integral part of Legion. I really do hope these are part of the remix as well. Chances are these quest lines will still all be available, so you may need to go and do these as originally planned to get the class mounts and work through those. They were time gated of course as well, so I would expect that not to be the case. But these could just simply be on a vendor. I doubt it though, because that would be a bit wild. It may require something like leveling a character up of a specific class during the remix and getting to a certain point in progression, then you're able to buy the mount from the vendor. But it would make more sense if you had to either do the campaign again, or if they were just simply recolors. Now what's interesting about the class mounts that came from the Order Hall campaigns is that some of them had multiple colours and others did not. So it's a good chance here, if Blizzard did want to do this, to add in some recolors, especially for the mounts that only had the one colour. It's an easy thing for them to do, so I wouldn't see why this wouldn't be a thing that they could do in Legion Remix. For example, you had the Warlock mount that had actually 3 separate mounts, just as did the Hunter mount and the Rogue mounts, and also the Paladins as well. Death Knights did only get the one mount, but that did change colour depending on what spec you were in. But you also then had the Monks, and the Warriors as well, which only had one mount with one colour. So Monks and Warriors, perhaps it's time they got a recoloured version. And maybe the same for the other classes too, why not? And the last category of mounts to consider are the miscellaneous ones, the ones that came from various random means, such as the Brine Deep Bottom Feeder. This mount required fishing, and it also wanted you to get your reputation to best friend with Conjurer Margos, then you could buy this from him. So again, this could well be available in the remix. It could be cool if you saw a recoloured version of this, but still, there will be time I suppose to get your fishing up and do this while the remix was active. Other mounts as well, such as the long forgotten Hippogriff and the Lothian Prowler, these ones could take quite some time to hunt down and achieve in the actual base game, so again putting those in the remix might not be the fair way of doing this. What you'd very like to see though are recolors, I would imagine, for these mounts, and there's a lot of good options they could go with when it comes to recoloring these kinds of mounts. And the thing is with recolors, as we saw from Mr. Pandaria Remix, there's a lot of recolors likely to be available with these mounts. But the good thing is with Legion, you've got quite a lot of different mount models that you could recolor. So the mounts we're likely to see different versions of will be the Falcosaurs, the Mana Rays, you've got the Ruin Striders, which are a sort of stag model. There's the Vile Fiends, those type mounts like the Crimson Slavomore. The Urzels, there's 2 of these currently available in the game. These are obviously very grim mounts. They've also got the Infernals, which are very easy to recolor, just use different elements and things like that. There's the Stormwings, the Fell Crushers, as we saw from Argus, and the Elderhorns, as well as Hippogriffs. So those types of mounts are the most predominant ones that we saw across all of the Legion expansion, so we're likely to get a lot more of those things. But with that said, what do you want to see in Legion Remix? Do you think that recolors are going to be a thing again like they were back in MOP? What mount would you most like to see return in a recolored version, if any? Do let me know down in the comments, I will read and reply to all of them. Thank you very much for dropping by the Drowsy Dragon in today. If you did enjoy the video, please do leave it a like and subscribe to the channel for more content from me. Pop by the Discord as well and come and join us over there. Thanks for watching guys, take care and I'll catch you next time. Cheers!